now into the rut's final week. Those of us with tags feel the time slipping away. Mike Reed is solely focused on the urban zone, but the painfully slow hunts continue. Josh Sparks and Max Mongrello continue their public land push, but struggle more and more with each sit. Waiting for the bucks to return to food so I can again target the big 8-pointer, I go after the one-eyed buck. Though my buck didn't show up, the morning featured its own form of excitement. After shooting a doe, I watched as the buck did everything he could to get her to stand up before bedding at her side. No doubt the doe was in estrus, as the buck only left grudgingly as we walked up to recover the doe 2 hours after the shot. In northeast Missouri, team member Mitch Mollerus has spent most of the season filming his friends Tyler Bailman and Justin Lubricht. Now that both have put their tags on great bucks, it is Mitch's turn to be in front of the camera. On the evening of November 20th, he heads to the blind, hoping to get another look at a good buck that he saw the evening before.
Well, it's the second evening of Missouri's opening weekend of rifle season. And me and Justin are set back up on this platform overlooking this cut bean field. In that same spot, we had an encounter with a nice 10 last night that we just weren't really sure of his age. So I went home, started looking at old trail camera photos from last year, and sure enough, I found him. And he's got to be 4 this year, so I kind of made a mistake. I should have shot him last night, but kind of always want to be, better safe than sorry. And end up shooting a 3-year-old, so back in here after him. It's about 2 o'clock, it's raining. The front's supposed to move out, and hopefully these deer will get up on their feet. And we also have our good luck charm tonight again. He just refuses to be left behind, so right before we left, we grabbed him a blanket. Since it's been raining, he's kind of wet, so got him a blanket. He's curled up here on my lap. He likes going, he's not hurting anything. The wind's in our favor, so why not? We're going to give it a try. He's been bringing us pretty good luck since we let him go with us, so we'll see what the evening brings. Hope it's a good night. That's got to be him. The buck we're in here after, he just stepped out of that wood line with that doe, just like we thought he did this morning. He went down in there, and they bedded up, and now they're coming back out. She's working her way this direction, just like the deer always do. She comes down this ditch and comes out just like they should. We're gonna get an opportunity at him, and hopefully tonight we got a little bit better, get a better look at him. But that's the deer we're in here after. He could come out any minute. I just don't know where they're. They should come out over here, but. That 160 right there. 163. I assume that's her. It's either her or another doe that was bedded in there that they stirred up. There he is, Mitch. You gotta let him come over here. Hang on. I'm gonna get him right there. I'm on him. I'm on him. He's hit hard. Oh, we just shot him. Oh, man. He started cutting that doe come out of the woods, and she was trotting. And he wasn't coming. And it was getting to the point where I was like, well, I thought that was her. And And finally, here he comes, and I got him stopped out there in the field about 150. He was quartering 2, but shooting this 30-06 with a 180 grain bullet, it'll do some damage, so I wasn't worried about that at all. This is the first time I've ever done this. He's a pretty good pup, but he sat with us last night, seen him, sat with us this morning, seen him, sat with us tonight, seen him again, so this here's the MVP. Third time's a charm. Well, we've given him plenty of time, so we're gonna go down there and look around while we still got some daylight. That deer should be dead right there in the ditch. It bullet hammered him pretty hard, so we're gonna go down here and check it out. He's right there. He didn't go anywhere once he hit the timber. That's him. Awesome, awesome, awesome. This is the deer we was in here after. Golly, he stinks. I don't even know what to say. I'm kind of speechless. It's awesome to be able to get out here and do what we love. I got to thank the landowners that let us go and hunt their farms. Without them, we wouldn't be able to do this. So a big shout out to them. I can't thank them enough. I mean, it's a blast. I knew that this farm was due to produce. I haven't shot a buck here since 2015. So we're gonna get out of here, get him loaded up. Got to run him over to my nephew. He's excited. My brother done told him about it. So we're gonna run him over there and show him off and kind of enjoy the moment the rest of the evening.
2 days later, and 175 miles to the north in central Iowa, Max Mongrello is also enjoying his new role in front of the camera.
If you're wondering why I'm the one doing the interviews, that's because starting today, actually, Josh is hunting with his best friend Caleb. Caleb is on his rutcation for the next 10 days, so Josh and him are going to be after it real hard on a few of Caleb's permission farms. I'm pretty excited. I got 10 days to hunt. Still got a buck tag in my pocket, so between Jake, who films Mike, and then Grant, who films Jared, between those two and me, we're going to do as much as we can, everything in our power to get out a bunch and hopefully bring you guys some action. So just to settle all confusion, that's what's going to be going on for the next week or so. But we're going to sit it out in here, hopefully until about lunchtime if our stomachs can handle it, because things are feeling good.
He's coming right down the ridge. You see him? It's a nice body mix. I'm gonna grunt at him. He didn't hear it.
guess sometimes it's just not meant to be, but that's absurd. We rattled about 10, it would have been about 15 minutes ago. And probably 6-8 minutes after we rattled, Jake looked down the ridge here from where I've never seen a deer come from here. And a nice 8 was coming up, definitely a shooter. He's working his way up the ridge and he kept looking hard, looking for those deer that were fighting. And after he couldn't see anything, he just bedded down. He stayed bedded for a few minutes until finally we decided we were gonna call at him. We grunted at him and he immediately stood up and he started coming our way. And as he was headed down the hill, I look up and there's another shooter coming from the same place he came from, almost down the exact same trail. And they definitely started looking at each other. And that second one postured up and escorted that first one right over the ridge over here. But I'm tore up. I mean, it's not just one, but 2 shooters right there. I mean, these deer are still obviously cruising, so we're gonna sit tight. I mean, there's a chance they work back, or there's a chance there's another deer in here. But wow.
35 miles to the south, Jared Mills is also on stand.
I've got a pretty crazy statistic to share with you that some people may be surprised by and some people may take comfort in knowing they're not the only ones, but I have not seen a mature buck, other than the buck we killed on November 1st, I have not seen a mature buck this entire month yet. And that's just crazy. And granted, there's a couple stipulations with that. I have not hunted recently as much as I would like, and two, been kind of winging it since I put all my eggs in one basket with hunting that big deer, but still, it's been crazy slow for November. The slowest that I can remember in a long time. We've seen, it's not like we're seeing a lot of 3- and 4-year-olds. I think I've seen 1 4-year-old for the afternoon, unless after checking this Cuddeback camera down here, unless it shows something different. I think our plan is to move up to the top of the hill. And we know of one really good 10 that has been using this property a little bit. There's a cut cornfield up there, and just see what's moving up top.
After checking the Cuddeback camera, Jared finds recent photos of a Big 10 officially giving him a new target. Before leaving for lunch, Jared hangs 2 stands in a pin oak tree for the evening hunt and plans to return soon. For this afternoon's hunt, we're going to go back to the same spot that I hunted. It's probably been 4 or 5 days ago now. It's a cornfield. We've got some standing corn left on the farm here. And I keep saying that at some point all the action is going to be back on the food. And we're just going to stick with it until that time comes. So this area, you know, we don't know for sure what's going to show up. There's a few bucks here that definitely could. The bladed 10 would be a candidate. He's in this area, and then that buck we call the tube buck. And then, I mean, you don't really know when you've got corn and the rut's starting to wind down. You could pull deer that, you know, just kind of wandered into the area, and then, you know, they end up staying because of the food. That's the plan. Looking forward to it. It's a nice cool evening in the upper 20s, so it'll be fun to sit there and see what comes out. As I settle into the blind and wait for the corn in front of me to fuel the evening's action, back in eastern Iowa, Jared Mills is heading back to the Pin Oak, hoping to see the Big 10.
Alright, it's now about 1:50. We're set up for afternoon hunt. What we did was we actually came and set these stands in this little pin oak after our morning hunt, and then went and grabbed food and came back and just climbed up in them. We are sitting over a picked cornfield tonight, and I picked a spot just primarily for visibility. This property in general doesn't have many areas where you can see a long ways, at least close to some of the funnels and pinches and stuff like that. Everything's so thick so you can't really see. So I want to just lay my eyes on this deer and to see where he's coming from, where he's going. My gut feeling, without any trail cam proof or anything like that, is that he is spending most of his time on the opposite side of this cornfield from us. But I'm hoping he's coming back this way in the evenings. If we see this deer out in this cornfield, we should have a decent chance of calling him, as long as he's by himself and in the right mood, of course. And more than anything, I just want to lay my eyes on him and start developing a pattern, or just find a way to move in closer on him. Fingers crossed for a good evening. We're going to settle in and see how it unfolds.
That's no too. Are you serious?
Alright, it's just about 4 o'clock now. We got quite a few deer in the field. As expected, they kind of all came out in different spots. But they're working their way across this cut corn pretty quick, like they're not going to stay here. They got a different destination food source is what it's kind of looking like. But it's good to see the early movement. Hopefully we'll see a good buck yet tonight.
The large field in front of Jared is loaded with deer. While he waits on the Big Ten, 120 miles away in southern Iowa, I'm also enjoying plenty of action. The hunt hasn't been too bad so far. There's about 45 minutes left, and we've seen 3 bucks so far. We've seen the same one that came out when we were here, whenever that was, 4 days ago or so. He's a real nice looking younger buck. Hopefully he survives for a couple more seasons, because he's got the potential to be a good one. Then a young 8-pointer that came in, and I think he saw us in the blind, and rather than leaving, he just kept coming closer and closer until he was about 5 yards away. It's a lot more challenging to film out of these blinds when you keep the windows closed, because you get so much condensation on the windows that you're constantly fighting that. It'd be no big deal if we weren't trying to film. And if we didn't, and we were sitting in the middle of this cornfield, so we don't have a safe direction where we can let the wind blow. So it's not like you can say, we're going to hunt this on a south wind, and we're going to keep the window open. There's a corn plant moving. Something's down in there eating. But it's been, a pretty interesting hunt, and there's still time enough for another one to come out, for sure. Especially one that maybe has a little bit more age to him. It's 1 year off. You want it again? Is that good? I think he's 4, but he could be 3. Sure doesn't look very big there, body-wise.
See, I think looking hang on this other.
Is that good?
No, I need like one more swap.
Uh-oh. Here it comes. Should I shoot him?
Yeah.
A 2 buck. I'm gonna have to get the window open somehow.
smell.
Why is not falling?
He's got a fall right now. He's wobbling. Oh yeah, he's wobbling. There he goes.
First we had that wide 8-pointer come in, deer that we've seen a couple of times this season, and then this 8-pointer that we called the tube buck. He came into the opening here and started working his way up toward the blind, and it got really hectic really fast because I had to open my corner window without spooking him as he was coming closer. Plus that big 8-pointer, that wide 8-pointer, was like 5 yards in front of the blind, just going right across in front. Anyway, the bottom line is I got the shot off, so it was not much control to that. We just had to kind of wing it, and it's pretty exciting. Got a little chill going now, combination of the excitement and the cold temperatures now that we got all these windows open. But the weird thing was I thought the shot was perfect. I mean, it was only 15, 20 yards away. The arrow hit, to me, it looked perfect, but he didn't go down right away. He went out into the corn and laid down. So probably what we'll do, it's not going to do us any good to go over there now. So we're going to sneak out and maybe get something to eat, and then we'll come back and recover the steer in a couple hours. While I get down to review the footage, Jared looks up and sees the Big 10 in his field.
Keep an eye on him. Tell me if he hears anything. Man, he looks good right there. From what you can see of him. You can at least make out his frame from here, though. Got a 170-inch buck, 5 coyotes. Nothing can hear us. Well, that's the kind of hunt we've been waiting on all month. Probably saw 25 plus deer, including what I think is our target buck. He came out kind of messing with the does a little bit. There's a group of close to 20 does out there. And you heard the coyotes sound off. The coyotes are still out there, and they eventually ran him off. He kind of ran back towards where he came out of. So now it's all game plan on where else we can go set up. It's very, very limited options. Similar to the last property I was hunting, there's just not very many huntable trees, a lot of CRP. So we'll see. I'm gonna take a look at the map and probably not try to make a move in the dark in the morning. This farm's going to be hard to get onto in any type of west or southwest, like what's forecasted for the morning. But potentially tomorrow afternoon we can try to make a move closer up to where he came out.
Okay, so we're trying to figure out. I thought this was the tube buck, but the tube buck had a sticker point on his right G2, and this one doesn't. And the more we got to looking at it, the more we started thinking it's that big 8-pointer that we filmed, that Drake filmed back in the summer. It's a deer that I've been after the whole season, and he finally showed up, and I didn't even recognize that it was him. So 2 surprises in one season. One was the surprise buck, and the other one was shooting one that you thought was a different deer, and then being surprised later to find out that it was the one that you've been after all season. So we're going to grab a quick bite to eat. And Tyler's going to come out, and then we're going to run out there and grab that deer. Hopefully he's laying right where we last saw him bed down.
There he is.
Golly. He didn't go very far. Probably 50 yards total. Look at that. Oh, man. That's the deer. 2 surprises in 1 season. We'll definitely take it. This is the buck that Drake filmed him in early August, and we had a lot of footage from the year before in August, from summer of 2018. And I figured he was 4 years old in 18 and putting him prime age for this year. So we were able to get him on the ground tonight. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, there's where that little sticker point was that kind of got broke off on the beam. You'll remember that from the summer in the velvet. I mean, he was the deer we wanted to get. You know, he's a 5-year-old buck, and you know, we're always trying to manage for 5-year-old and older on this farm whenever possible, and so he was the perfect candidate.
It's awesome to be able to get out here and do what we love. I got to thank the landowners that let us go and hunt their farms. Without them, we wouldn't be able to do this.
Well, that's the kind of hunt we've been waiting on all month. I saw 25 plus deer, including what I think is our target buck.
2 surprises in 1 season. We'll definitely take it.
But I'm tore up. I mean, it's not just 1, but 2 shooters right there. I mean,
Mitch's hunt in Missouri and my hunt in Iowa are both examples of the shift that takes place toward the end of November. Eventually, everything heads back to food. I've dreamed of the Big 8 all season. It was funny that when he finally showed up, I failed to recognize him through the fogged windows. Patiently sticking to the cornfield blind paid off, and the Big 8 finally finds his place in my freezer and on my wall. Jared Mills encountered a mature buck, and now he has a new target to focus on with the end of Iowa's first archery split looming. Max Mongrello will have the rest of the month in front of the camera and eagerly waits to get back in the stand after his action-filled hunt, hopeful to fill his first Iowa tag. The rut's final stretch is here, and those still holding tags recognize the opportunity it presents. There's a window of action that opens for only a few short days at the tail end of the rut as mature bucks are on their feet seeking the last few hot does. Morning hunts near bedding areas will still produce action, but increasingly the best chance is now found in the afternoons near food. There is a heaviness that hangs over us, even those of us with filled tags. As much as we enjoy the success, it is really the quest that holds our imaginations. It is the journey we love most. Although there are a few days left, it is with heavy hearts that we realize it will be 11 months until we are once again chasing November.